Hello, my name is Kirioth, and I apologise now for the horrendous state of my voice. I wasn't going to do a video today. I was going to be sensible, take the day off because I sound like I'm on the verge of death, but something big's happened. Something has been made public, something's been announced, and we kind of need to talk about it, and I wanted to talk about it today whilst it was still fresh in my mind, and whilst I actually could remember what it was that I wanted to talk about, which there's no guarantee that I would tomorrow. So, I apologise for the voice. It might get better. It probably won't. Let's talk about Dawn of War 3. So, Dawn of War 3 has essentially been abandoned by Relic. They are not going to be supporting the game anymore. They are not going to be producing anything in the way of DLC. That's it. Relic are done with Dawn of War 3. And as they say, while Dawn of War 3 has a dedicated player base, it didn't hit the targets we were expecting at launch, and it hasn't performed the way we hoped since. When a game underperforms, plans need to change, and they simply don't have the foundation we need to produce major content. They are still working closely with Sega and Games Workshop to determine the best course of action, while shifting focus to other projects within our portfolio. That is essentially PR speak for we fucked it up, no one bought it, and it's not earning us any money. You probably didn't need that translation, but I thought I'd give it you anyway just in case. It's kind of sad. Honestly, it is kind of sad because Dawn of War as a franchise has a kind of special place in my heart. I played Dawn of War 1 for God knows how long, and all of the expansions. I don't even want to talk about how many times I've played the Dawn of War 2 Retribution campaign. That's probably on the verge of embarrassing, to be honest. And Dawn of War 3 was something that actually, as a prospect, filled me with excitement when I first heard about it. I was genuinely happy. I was like, we're actually getting, and I didn't think we'd get a new Dawn of War game. I thought 2 would be the last one, and whilst 2 is still a fantastic game and I still absolutely love it, the idea of a modern Dawn of War game, it funnily enough tickled my fancy, as it did with lots of other people. It's kind of difficult to know exactly where Relic went wrong. It's easy to say, well, they just screwed up all of it, but I don't think that's entirely fair. I suspect that there was an element of looking at trends and looking at figures over looking at what made the other two games so popular, and I suspect that that is possibly what led to the kind of bizarre decision to do that odd blend of RTS and MOBA that Dawn of War 3 ended up being. Something that I felt was a severe misstep even before the game came out was the occasional comments of saying things like, well, it's the best of both. The base building from Dawn of War 1, the combat from Dawn of War 2. Because on the face of it, that sounded kind of good. But really, Dawn of War 1 and Dawn of War 2 were very different games. They were both very good games, but Dawn of War was very much more a traditional RTS. Dawn of War 2 was a lot heavier in terms of squad-based mechanics, cover mechanics and so on, and I enjoyed both, but I'm definitely a Dawn of War 2 man. At first, when you say we're going to take the best of both and meld it together, you have this idea of grand bases with cover mechanics for squads and reinforcement systems, and it sounds okay, but would it actually work? That unfortunately is a question that I don't know if will ever get answered now, but if it did have the potential to work, there's something that would have always made it fail, which was overcomplicating it in an attempt to simplify, which is basically what happened with Dawn of War 3. No one asked for MOBA elements in Dawn of War 3. The things that made Dawn of War 1 and Dawn of War 2 popular were essentially missing from Dawn of War 3. Yes, you could build a base in Dawn of War 3. Was it as extensive as Dawn of War 1? No. Did it have as much in the way of possible upgrades as Dawn of War 1? No. Did it have as many choices in terms of factions as Dawn of War 1? Well, of course not even slightly. Did it have the squad-based combat that we saw from Dawn of War 2? No, not really. Did it have the cover system the same as Dawn of War 2? Again, no. The best of both of those games just wasn't in Dawn of War 3, And then we had these bizarre maps where you have to complete an objective to be able to move on to the next objective to be able to attack the base, which sounds great if you're playing, I don't know, Heroes of the Storm, but not so much when you're playing Dawn of War. My main issue with all of this, and the thing that I'm worried about most, because I've made my feelings of Dawn of War 3 clear over and over again, I didn't like it. If I hadn't overrun on the number of hours played on Steam, I would have refunded it on the day, but sadly I didn't. I don't want this to be the death of the Dawn of War franchise. I think Relic messed up. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh well, they were doing their best but they just got it a bit wrong. No, they messed up badly. What worries me is that they will look at this mess up and they will say that there is no future for Dawn of War. My worry is that they'll look at the mistakes they've made, and instead of seeing them as mistakes, they'll instead see them as like something that means it's not viable in the market anymore, that no one's interested in a Dawn of War game. Because that's not true. Myself and countless other people are interested in a Dawn of War game, but we want a Dawn of War 1. We want a Dawn of War 2. We want a sensible and effective mix of both. We just don't want Dawn of War 3. No one who played Dawn of War 1 and Dawn of War 2 sat there and went, what I'd like for the third one is 3 factions, and that's it. What I'd like, having played Dawn of War 1 and Dawn of War 2 campaign, is a split up campaign that is just divided between the 3 factions, where we don't get to just use the same faction for the entirety. No one asked for that. No one who played 1 and 2 sat there and decided that they want hero backflip units. No one sat there and decided that, yeah, whilst Dawn of War 1 and Dawn of War 2 were great games, what they really wanted was for a Heroes of the Storm map to be the main method of multiplayer. I don't know why Relic didn't pay more attention to what people loved about the first 2 and less attention to what the current trends were. Well, no, that's not fair. I know why they did it. They did it because they wanted to appeal to 2 markets. But you can't simply take 2 genres and smash them together and appeal to everybody in both. At best, you're going to get a very niche audience out of that. At worst, you're going to alienate fans of the existing franchise, which is exactly what happened here. Because the features in Dawn of War 3 were not the features that we saw in 1 or 2. The gameplay in 3 were not what we got from 1 or 2. And as a result, all the people who wanted Dawn of War 3, having played 1 and 2, then just didn't play 3. They either didn't buy it or they refunded it. I just don't want this to be the last Dawn of War game. I want Relic to recognise and acknowledge that they tried an experiment. That experiment failed, but it doesn't mean that Dawn of War as a franchise is without worth. It doesn't mean that Dawn of War is a franchise that is no longer viable. It doesn't mean that no one wants Dawn of War 4. We just want a Dawn of War game that plays like either of the 2 incredibly popular, long-standing, still community-supported Dawn of War games. That's all the fans of the franchise ever wanted. And if the game had been good, and if the game had lived up to its predecessors, then it would have branched out to other people. It would have found a wider audience outside of just 40k fans. Unfortunately, we didn't get any of that. We got a weird RTS MOBA hybrid mix, with clear issues with things like pathfinding, clear bugs, a graphic style that was a little off to me. It looked good at times and looked awful at others. We just didn't get what we wanted as fans of 40k or fans of Warhammer Dawn of War. And when you don't give people what they want, they're not going to recommend that game to anyone else. When you don't give people the thing they're expecting, they're not going to sit there and go, well, I didn't enjoy the first 5 hours, but I'll keep playing. That time is gone. If someone doesn't like a game within a couple of hours, they can refund it. They will refund it. And I would be very interested to know how many people did exactly that with Dawn of War 3. Whatever happens, I think it's a sad end for the game. I think it could have been something great, but it wasn't. And I hope that they take it as a lesson and not as an indicator. The lesson being, just make an RTS. Don't fuck around with MOBA stuff. We can hope. Anyway, Did you actually like Dawn of War 3? Do you think it was good, or did you, like a lot of other people, dislike it? And what do you think of them just abandoning it? Bad? I think it's pretty bad, if I'm honest. Be interested to hear what you think. Once again, I apologise for the roughness of the voice. Hopefully it'll sort itself out sooner rather than later. Feel free to click any of the links in the videos. Any of the links in the video. There's videos, subscribe, Patreon, all of that stuff. And I will see you for the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Toodaloo.